when I'm watching Killmonger, one, I think he's one of the most fascinating villains that has ever been created because
Afghanistan, Duval, Moncrief. I did all that so I can bring this movie to you.
I find myself agreeing with him on like every step of the way. Of course, like in the third act, he takes extremist measures. Like he does things that are frowned upon easily, but where he's coming from, his principle being pushed, why he's pushed to the edge, like all of that, and his father, I see, like as far as their principles go, I'm right in line with them. And Shuri, was it Shuri?
Which one are we talking about? Forrest Whitaker's character or T'Challa's sister? That is that's Shuri.
Okay, Shuri.
Yeah.
She actually expressed some
Stolen
of those
by
same,
Apple, by the way. They called her Siri. Made it the most intelligent thing for Apple. But we'll do that another day. Sorry, go ahead.
So she expressed some of those same sentiments where they want to use what they have to take care of the world. It's like this liberal point of view in the film that is...
Who expresses that?
Siri.
When did she express that? Nakia says that, but I've never seen Siri say that.
When she's talking to her brother, is in the beginning. I can't remember exactly.
Or the end. Which one?
In the beginning.
Okay.
Definitely in the beginning.
Okay. Bible reference.
And that's because it was that one moment where I was like, okay, maybe like that's going to be the reason why he evolves in his way of thinking about keeping Wakanda a secret. But anyways, so Suri kind of expresses the same sentiments. There's this they want to share Wakanda's advancements with the world. That puts them at odds with the established power in Wakanda.
Mm-hmm.
And you said it, like Killmonger summed it up perfectly. He was like, didn't all life begin here? Aren't as in everyone your people? And like that, like I'm watching it and I'm like, this shouldn't be the bad guy. How is this person the bad guy?
Well, they never said he was the bad guy. Because think about it from his perspective. He's a stepchild that got left behind and told about this great place where his dad was from, and he saw his dad get killed. So he has nothing but vengeance.
Yeah, the way every great superhero is born. Before we move off of Killmonger, this is kind of in line with that video I was telling you about. This black vlogger, he took issue with the way Killmonger was portrayed.
Okay.
It was actually his video, and I'll find it and link it in the description here. But
don't forget to subscribe. Hit that button.
His video was he took issue with a lot of things in it, but the main thing that I actually identify with was his issue with Killmonger. He was like, Killmonger, the video was titled like Black Panther doesn't like African Americans or something like that, because Killmonger it represents Black America, and he comes from Oakland. He's the way he's portrayed as like this extremist that wants to hand over the vibranium weapons to every person that's black in the world and everybody else. They immediately, they didn't flesh him out at all. They took him from like, yeah, here's a pretty decent reason why this individual might have these issues, and he immediately jumps to like Hitler-esque, kill everybody except our race.
Mm-hmm.
And the issue was like as soon as he got to Wakanda, he threw all broke loose because of him.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be that way. Like,
it actually did.
He could have been such a more, like, he was already, like I said, the best villain. But what made him the best villain is because I actually identified with the reasoning he had for, like, his dad was killed, so that's the perfect vengeance story. And what he wanted out of, what he ultimately wanted was to take care of everybody. But then they flipped it in the third act where he's just a brutal dictator.
I disagree.
How? I mean, he was like...
Because you made my points with
Think about in the garden, when he goes in there, he wants everything burned. And the minute that woman even questions him, he has her up in the air by her throat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was just little decisions like that villainizes him.
Of course. But my point is just to say, the only part I'm disagreeing with you on, and maybe this, as you call him, black blogger. We'll find out. I'm pretty sure there's only one or two of those in the world. Once we find out that this is my point that I disagree with again, is disagreeing with the character wasn't fleshed out. It would to me it was fleshed out in a style almost as if you watching a movie like a Quentin Tarantino movie where it doesn't give you everything up front. It kind of like flips back and forth, and it's up to you to put the story together. Let me not give it to you. And the reason why I say this is this: we start out at the beginning, and we see his character was being fleshed out not just by him, by himself alone. No, his character was not fleshed out, but his dad. His dad was the one that taught his son every night about. Think about this. His dad came from at least they didn't say how long he had been in America, but he at least had been in Wakanda for at least most of his life. So you come from seeing kings, queens, people live, eat right, dress right, talk right, learn, evolve, educate themselves, to you come to your worst nightmare, a lean on me version of America in Compton. And so now not only that, your worst fears you've told me offset is you didn't want to bring a child into this world. So he came from that and actually brought a child into not the world he came from, the world he lived in. So now he has a responsibility. He has to teach his child where he comes from and also that you are living here now. So it's like saying, hey, heaven exists, but you're living in hell. Now let's stop there. So, with that being said, all he wants to do is just be like his daddy. Any kid wants to be like his dad. Fast forward. He comes outside from playing basketball after seeing an alien ship leave and sees his dad with claws tatted all up in his chest. You know what? We just said well that worked for Batman. That's for heroes. If heroes can be born from vengeance, villains can be born from worse villains. So walking in, seeing your parent die, not just dead, murdered, and having no answers, not even knowing who did it, getting no justice. Mm-hmm. So finally, after you've been to Iraq and all these places that are just bred from blood and killing, you want him to be diplomatic. There is no diplomatic when he is that close to tasting. Once he would have got liberation, then maybe he would have chilled out a little bit. But to him, yeah, he's choking bitches. He's doing all this crazy shit. You know why? Because choking that bitch ain't got nothing to do with walking when he walked in and saw his daddy dead on the ground with Panther claws. To him, that's a lesser thing that he has to do to liberate people, to show them we have the power. And if this wouldn't happen to me, though, it could have been different. And the truth be told, me and you agree. I agree with the Killmonger role. The only issue is I can't let people say they don't like how they vilify him. Well, if that person got their daddy killed in front of them and went to Iraq and did all this stuff and then had a chance to take care, to look out for their daddy, which is why he killed Shuri. When we were like, that's why he killed him. And then he wanted to kill Black Panther. But at the end of the day, they still develop his character at the very end. And I can't say why, because that's going to be my quote of the movie. So I'll stop.
Okay.
His dad was so powerful. They letting you know the first sound you hear in the whole movie is from the stepdaddy, and not the step. You know what I'm saying? Like it's from.
I don't have, and I will prove it to you that I have no problem with Killmonger because it's on my paper here. It's not my issue with Killmonger's story, character development, or anything like that. I just feel like they got him to third base as far as character development, and when it was time for him to run home, they tripped him.
We know why that happened, though.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's why that's where that black blogger was going, was because at the end of the day, they set him up to be the where any Black American could say, I identify with Killmonger. That's who I am. That's who I grew up with.
But what's wrong with that?
No, nothing's wrong with that until it gets to the point where he's running from third base to home, and there's just this, it's almost out of character for him because he got what he wanted, and then he goes extreme to where he's hurting the people that, like, he went from being a very, very well fleshed out villain who wasn't even really a villain to the third act becoming your stereotypical villain where I'm just going to damn the world and destruction and chaos.
But no, to me, that's the beautiful part of it. That's where Ryan Coogler comes in as a director. Think about his films from Fruitvale Station to Creed. He didn't do Creed 2, so for you out there, guys, just come on, do some research. But that's where I say, don't just, sometimes Easter eggs are found more just in films. They're found in the film process. And to me, Ryan Coogler was an Easter egg that was found in this film process, because with what you just said, with Michael B. Jordan pairing this character and Eric Killmonger, and like you say, they set him up. Here's the easy. What they did was they showed you that at the end of the day, if all you seek is revenge, you will never find love. He never got an opportunity to fully develop and receive love. So he never knew how to, hey, once I get here, let me balance it out, because guess what, his dad's teaching and his lessons were cut short, so his character was fleshed out at like 9 or 10 years old. His dad was ripped from his life, so while he was beginning to receive and see love, all in his environment, he saw killing every day. He saw not having every day. He saw his dad telling you we're from heaven, but we're living in hell. So most of his childhood life, in which is where the brain is formulated here in the most younger parts of your life, all he saw was negativity. So you can't tell me his character wasn't fleshed out at the end. I think it's by happy accident. I don't think Marvel went this deep. I do think it's by happy accident.
He's coming around third base, and he's like,
but how did he trip?
Just as close to
show me when he was,
because he's just as close to redemption as he is to total chaos and destruction, and he got nudged the other way.
If you saw education and for majority of your life, for let's say that they came when he was 10 or 12. He saw education for majorities. He saw 80% education, 20% love. The moment when he could understand the education and maybe the love was coming, it was ripped away from him. So I cannot blame him for saying I want to see my people liberated by any cost, because he ran into people that looked like him that didn't understand in the States.
No,
so
I believe everything that I believe his actions. I believe he has a reason for the act. The writers did a good job in setting up the third act. I just wish they would have set it up, tweaked a few things so that the third act could transpire a little bit differently and be a redemption story. Like, oh man, you thought this was the villain. No, this is not the villain. This is we just snuck an origin story for another superhero, for an advocate.
But they did do that. That's the beautiful part about it. He did not die. At the end of the day, he acknowledged like good move, Cusman, which I thought was a little cheesy. They're trying to wrap it up. But even me and you've done the research, and here's the thing: they were shortchanged. Now they were not shortchanged in the budget. Let's be fair to the film. The budget was $200 million.
They were shortchanged on time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And confines of the story, which is why Ava decided not to do the film. And like I say, F. Gary Gray, who did Fate of the Furious, had another project to do. So, but with that being said, they were shortchanged on time. However, I have to be honest. Like, we both agreed that we did not like the final. The film was so significant and awesome up until the arc of the action at the end. Anything could have happened at the end, but we both agree that we don't like that. So
every scene he is in draws you in, because he has this. I'm sorry. He has this intensity, like. And I can understand why you feel.
So you understand
because
that. You understand.
It's like real recognizing real. You bring that intensity, so you must feel like, why the hell am I not in his position? I recognize.
Well, I know why I'm not in his position.
But
I have a problem that I'm working on.
But can you disagree though? Like, he is.
Oh no, he brought
every scene he's in. It doesn't. He just like it's again. It's like watching Heath Ledger in The Joker, where it's like, oh, this guy is in it.
Have you seen Kill?
I've seen it, yeah, quite a bit of it, and
I just want to ask. Okay,
yeah,
okay,
no,
okay.
I'm not making a comparison between Michael V. Jordan and Tarian Royal. I am just saying that in Black Panther, he is easily, whenever he was on the screen, I found myself thinking, I wish this was just a Killmonger movie, and that
I do like that. I do like that.
Which is
that would be dope. That would be dope.
Like,
Marvel.
he's such a great villain.
That would have to be
And I think just like with what Heath Ledger did with the Joker, the reason why the Joker was like revitalized with the Dark Knight is the same reason why Jordan's performance as Killmonger like made him such a great like fleshed out villain, where he was 3-dimensional. You felt like because he brought this human side of it when he was the trauma that he felt as a child. You could actually see that he wasn't just playing this angry guy that wanted revenge like some 80s action movie. When he came with the anger and the animosity, you could still see the pain and passion in his eyes and like the real human side. Like, he was somebody that was hurting and lashing out. So that the way he brought that to life was amazing. And when you play a villain and convince the audience that you might be that you're the good guy or get them on your side, that's a great actor.
Hopefully I can say this and persuade you the other way, because this is where the beautiful part comes in. I've listened to all your arguments all night, and I don't disagree with what you just said. I'm not knocking with you. This is not a sarcastic twist. I'm using your own argument against yourself because I want you to think about something. You're telling me that that at the beginning of the episode you told me that a lot of people didn't like how Eric Killmonger was portrayed in the same argument that the blogger says, where he says that the character was not fleshed out and they made him this militant. I I somewhat say that sometimes you can't let your opinions shade what you're watching, because when we want to believe something, we innately we watch for what we want to believe. However, at the very beginning of the movie, they show a child that, again, I mentioned this earlier, that his father got killed. His father was already teaching about the greatest place in the world while his son was living in hell. That's hard enough to deal with it on its own. Then tangle that with, you show up one day, you see this alien looking spaceship, which f***s your mind up. Like, nobody's talking about that. They're in Compton and you see a fucking alien spaceship. It's one thing to see a drive-by, but I just saw a fucking alien spaceship. Mm-hmm. Not only that, I go upstairs and see my daddy killed with claws that look like Panther. So say all that. Okay, fast forward. Now, the first time after that we meet Eric Killmonger, he is in one of the dopest museums ever, looking highly educated with these exact glasses on. So Marvel, save some money on the glasses you buy, and just hire me as an understudy at least next time. And these things are happening. But the top 10, one of the top 3 out of 10 dopest lines are mentioned in that scene alone. So when we meet Eric Killmonger as an adult, we're showed how educated he is with 90 seconds. So no one can tell me his character was not fleshed out, David, because he says, I didn't even put this in my book because I've seen it and I mentally memorized it a billion times. He says, "You've been watching me since I came here, but you're not you're not concerned about what you're putting in your body." That's a line for everybody that eats fast food and does all that crazy shit. You more so concerned about what I'm doing. You're not concerned about what you're putting in here. Then he educates the lady that works at the library. He was like, "What's this?" She was like, "Oh, this was discovered by British soldiers in Belize or whatnot," and blah blah. He was like, "Yeah, yeah, it was taken by British soldiers, but it's actually from Wakanda." She's like, "Excuse me?" She's so offended. She don't even want to fact check this shit. This Yes, yeah, this bitch is so offended that some nigga is in her museum in some country that's not America telling her about some shit that she done went to school and paid $100,000 for. Let's just call it for what this is. This podcast is going to be honest. So she's so offended. She refuses to believe this shit. But he don't even get dismayed by that. What does he say? But don't worry about it. He dismisses how dumb the fuck she is because she can only sees color and says, "Don't worry, I'm going to take it off your hands for you." And in her mind, because for some reason, she elevates her mind. I'm thinking she's going to say he think he finna steal it. For some reason, somebody told her right along the way. She says, "Oh, it ain't for sale." Well, I really think she did was she don't want her ass beat no more. But she says, "Oh, this is not for sale." He's like, "Nah." And then he re-educates this for the second time. So she thought she done came back from life and rechecked herself. And he says, "I'm going to take it just like the British soldiers took it. What you thought this was given to you, it was taken by British soldiers. So I'm going to take it back." Mm-hmm. So he educates her 3 times with her body, where it came from, and where it's going. Now help me out again, David. What's in her body, where it's going, and where it came from? Brother, that's past, present, and future. So what I'm saying is, don't tell me, black blogger, that his character was not fleshed out. He let his anger and his greed take over at the end of the day. I do this shit. I've seen every fucking Marvel movie. All 21 or 22 movies of the Infinity Gauntlet. Several times. So while I will allow people to have their opinion, check me on the shit that I know, because I do this.
All right. So to be clear, the argument is never is Killmonger a fleshed out character. The issue that the blogger has is that it's the one character that Black America can identify with, and coincidentally, that's the villain.
That's incorrect. You don't think a bunch of America identified with T'Challa? Peaceful? Hey, I'm king of Wakanda. Hey, man, I'm king of my community. I ain't got to worry about everybody else.
And he says, you think T'Challa's letting you into his party? You ain't from there.
But who said that? Now, you know who said that.
That's the blogger.
No.
What?
Eric Ulysses Claw said that. He said that while in interrogation.
But that's kind of T'Challa's. That's the establishment's way of looking at things. That's why they don't help anybody. He's like, "Oh, what do they do at the end of it? Set up a community center? Motherfucker, we already got community centers. You got the YMCA. That doesn't do anything. Make the change. Change.
Let me ask you something innately, because we discussed a lot in life as friends and as filmmakers. But as a person, I've never asked you this from a film perspective and as combining the two. while we both agree with Killmonger's perspective, and we at the end of the day, if we had to cast our ballot, we both are in the Killmonger crew. We both agree with that. With that being said, was T'Challa at the end of the day so wrong? Is he not a form of AI saying, because he maybe they did show how smart he was, saying, listen, I've seen this before. It's the same thing with the Matrix. What did the machines realize? Humans were bad for themselves. Is not T'Challa a preemptive, a beta version of AI saying, I'm not king of everybody. I can only tell you what my facts say. That we don't each other up, that we eat right, and that 25% of awesome is better than 55, 70% of I don't know what the happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I'm asking, brother. Now talk to me about that. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, I think T'Challa was on the right path, but I think Killmonger was already there. And then at the end was some politically safe compromise that fell closer to T'Challa. Like, and then he goes to the United Nations and I mean, as exciting as that is for them to have the seat at the table, and United Nations has no idea what has even come to the table, like, as far as how great they are. As awesome as that scene was, it's still this like you're compromising for the sake of what is. And I'm not talking about the story itself. I'm talking about a message that's trying to be sold by the producers, by Marvel, or by the powers that be that put this out. It's this it's kind of like a statist and status quo point of view, and be okay with that, and that's okay. But I think Killmonger's, even as extreme as he was in the end, I think it would have been I've still fall on his side of things. I don't think there should have been diplomacy.
No, I agree with you 100%. But I think we both also agree that I wouldn't have went as far as, like you say, when he choked the lady in the heart-shaped herb garden and did those things, said burn the garden. That shows of hate. Like it shows like if you let rage control you, or if you let envy control you, that you lose sight of what it is. And so that's why I say at the end of the day, T'Challa cannot be understated. For as much as I agree with Killmonger and his ways, I don't agree with how he ended up, and I don't agree with how docile T'Challa was for most of the movie. I don't agree. Like his father was probably the perfect blend of what diplomacy was. Like I had to omit the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean that's I mean I'm sorry. Like I mean.
That's the trailer.